Well, hello everybody and welcome back down to my allotment. Now, recently we've been getting a delivery of wood chip here on our allotment. Nobody really knows where it's coming from, but I've today just been using it to mulch around my rhubarbs, just to try and prevent any weeds coming through and help protect the rhubarb plants, which is another good job. Also should make it look a little bit wetter throughout these winter months, so I'm quite happy with that. But there's one thing I really do need to do today, and that is get my overwintered broad beans into the ground. Let me go show you what we've got going on. And so these here are my overwintered broad beans. And these I sowed in these root trainers back in October. So I think they are ready to go into the ground. We've got some nice big bushy leaves, which I think really makes them look pretty strong. But ultimately, and this is why I like these root trainers, what we need to see is what the roots are like. So if we open these up, one of these books up, oh yeah, look at that, look at those roots, they are looking great. Let's get these into the ground. Now personally, I always grow overwintered broad beans. I don't bother with spring sown ones, just because what I find with overwintered broad beans, one, much like the onions, they look great over the winter. It makes the allotment feel like something is going on, and there's going to be life going on inside this allotment. Now the other reason that I like to grow overwintered broad beans is I find they're a bit more successful than spring sown ones. Now, yes, overwintered broad beans do look a little bit worse for wear because they obviously got to cope or battle with the elements, but they produce a much earlier crop. I would expect to harvest these around the end of May, June. Spring sown ones are still pretty young at that point. And we get an earlier crop, that's one reason of course, but also it means that we get less problems with black fly, a pretty nasty aphid on beans. These tend to avoid it because the crops are harvested before black fly really presents itself. Now something else I think it's worthy to note is that broad beans can be a bit of a marmite crop. I personally love this stuff. I can eat these quite happily, but my wife, she cannot stand broad beans. So all these broad beans, or I'm going to be the only person that actually eats these in our household. I don't think Roxy will eat them, but I certainly will. Can't wait. They are so tasty. All right, well that has got 19 broad bean plants planted out. That should be plenty for me. Quite pleased about that actually. I might actually sow a few more when I get home just to be sure we have plenty of broad beans. I know we're going to have plenty, but there is a chance of course a frost might come along and kill these ones off. It's rare, but it could happen. Good thing is, because I'm growing it inside this high raised bed with corrugated iron sides, it's very easy for me to throw over a bit of fleece if the temperature does drop and hold it into place to protect them, so they should be okay. But to be fair, I've never had to protect broad beans in the past. Last year was the first time that they ever got killed off by a particularly hard frost where I am. I didn't protect them or anything, and that's been in 30 years, 1 year in 30 years, so that's not too bad I don't think. Well, there we go, that's got the broad beans in the ground. As I said, I might need to add a bit of a fleece. I will probably also mulch the beds a bit during the time as well, just to give them a bit more protection and a bit of nutrients. They will stay in that ground. When it gets dry, give them a bit of watering, but they will stay in that ground until June, when they'll probably be over and done with. Keep watching in the future to see how we get on with those, of course, and be great to see. Now, I want to plant out some shallots, which I finally managed to get. But in the meantime, I bid you farewell, and I'll see you again next time.